All right, so let's talk about it. We are talking about pregnancy. Jealousy is real. So I've been hesitant to post on this subject because I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but it has been swirling around in my atmosphere for quite some time, you know. The reality is when you're going through infertility, when you are struggling to bring life into this world and that's the only thing you want, these feelings they're always at the surface and sometimes they bubble over. And for me, pregnancy jealousy was really, really strong right after my miscarriage and before we got pregnant. And so before we got pregnant, of course, you know, sometimes you go everywhere and you just see a bunch of pregnant women and you're just like, that's wonderful. But for me, it's just heart-wrenching. And then when we got pregnant, even though I was very, very early on in our pregnancy, I was like, I've arrived, right? I would see a pregnant person who was, 6 months, 7 months, visibly pregnant. And I'd be like, I'm with you. I may not be as big as you yet, but I'm with you. And then of course, after the miscarriage, you see it. It's kind of like, you buy a white car and then you see a bunch of white cars. I don't know if that analogy works, but anyway, I have learned that I have to give myself grace in dealing with this whole journey, because the emotions, the anger, the jealousy, the fear, the sadness, all of these, what we would say are negative feelings, which aren't true. I don't want to assign a negativity or a positivity to my feelings in this situation, because they're valid. After you have loss, and that's a loss of, a loved one, a child, a baby, a miscarriage, these feelings of anger and sadness and grief are real, and they're not necessarily bad unless they're protracted, and that's a whole nother nursing topic. But this is the human experience. And so for me, I've learned that two things can be true. I can be happy from afar for a friend or a colleague or someone who's pregnant, but I can also still be sad and angry that it's not us right now. And I say right now because it will be, but right now it's not us. So how do you deal with some of these feelings, right? Because this is hard. It's very hard to go through. I saw someone post some things about what infertility is, and one of them was, crying on your way to work and then walking in feeling like everything, or everything's okay, putting your smile on. For me, that was, having telemedicine visits on my lunch break, and having to pull myself together to go see my patients. For me, it is the anger and the jealousy that, when I would have patients come in to confirm pregnancy and I am just getting bad news for myself, and I would have to pull myself together and go take care of my patient, because regardless of what I'm going through, I still need to give my patient the care that they deserve. So plastering on that smile, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. Sometimes they weren't excited, but that was their journey and that was fine. Even if it was an unplanned, unwanted pregnancy, that's their right? So that's kind of what infertility is like. All of these emotions always swirling around and you're trying to manage them. And before, I would try to stuff them down, and that doesn't work, because sometimes they come out in the most inopportune time. When somebody says, how are you doing? And the waterworks just start and you're like, I'm falling to pieces over this seemingly invisible fight or this seemingly invisible battle. And you don't want to be a party pooper, but you are constantly fighting because you're constantly reminded of something that you want, but you don't have yet. We're saying yet, okay? So in looking up some things about pregnancy, jealousy during IVF, Psychology Today, I believe that's one of the sites I was on, has some things. One, they say talk to your friend or your person. And, while that can be beneficial for some people, that is a tool where you can say, look, I am happy for you, but I'm in this place. And I guess it can be helpful because you can talk to them about how you guys can navigate this together, because this is one of the happiest times of their lives, and you don't want to detract from that, but you also want to protect yourself and protect your energy and protect your heart. So talking to them and saying, hey, I'm really happy for you, but if I am pull back a little bit, it's not out of bad will or anything like that. Telling them how you need to be treated as they go through this. And I don't think that's selfish. I think that's communication between friends, and real friends will understand that, this is where you are and appreciate you talking to them. The next thing is, I'm huge on therapy. I was with my therapist or talking to my therapist the other day, and for me, it's just a venting session. Because like I said, I can't keep things in, and I love my husband, but he is not the touchy-feely, all that kind of stuff. And so while he supports me tremendously in a lot of areas, for me, having a therapist is gold, because I can word vomit and just talk and get it out and cry and all that kind of stuff, and have my feelings validated, but also get tools to help me say, okay, you can feel this, you can process this, you take the time you need, but you can't stay there. And that was one of the things that after our miscarriage, Lewis helped me with, right? Because yes, we're devastated, I'm grieving, I'm crying, I'm in bed, I'm doing the whole, thing. And for us, because one, I'm 40, I just turned 40, I couldn't stay in that space, in the sense, I did grieve, I did process, but I couldn't live there. And while things will trigger me to cause me to remember the miscarriage and to be in a sad place, I don't allow myself to live there and to be perpetually sad. Because one, we had to get back on the horse, right? I'm getting older, we're losing time. And so we turned around, after everything was a go, we did another transfer and that didn't work. I grieved it. I got angry. I went through my process. I got back really good into therapy and I processed, and it sucked, but I'm not living there. And that's the struggle, right? Because it's very easy in any situation, whether it's infertility or family dynamics or work or anything that's causing you stress or pain, it's easy to sit in that pain and let it overtake you. But having a therapist who gets me has been a lifesaver. So that's another thing. Dealing with pregnancy, jealousy. Say no. Just say no to the baby shower, okay? Send a nice gift. Wish them well, but don't put yourself, and I'm talking to myself, I'm not putting myself in a position where, one, I'm bringing this energy of conflict within me, right? So I'm going there, I'm having to pretend that everything's great. That's not where I'm at this point, right? I've done that before. I've done that in the past of being excited and all that stuff. And that was genuine. It was genuine excitement and love for my friends who had babies. But in this season where I am right now, after the accumulation of loss and the things that we've gone through, I'm not going to put myself in that situation. I'm going to send them a beautiful gift, and I'm just going to remove myself because that protects my energy. So like Mother's Day, I logged off of social media for the whole weekend. I was like, I'm not doing it, because I knew that that would be a not good situation for me. And I didn't realize how affected I would be by it. But I just literally broke down and cried, and my husband just held me. And I needed that time to not pretend, to not be around people. He and his mom went out. I didn't want to go out because I knew the restaurants would be full of mothers and things celebrating. I'm not anti-Mother's Day. I'm not anti, anything. It's just a way for me to protect myself, because I have so many emotions on any given moment that protecting my energy and my peace is paramount. Another thing is trying to find that balance of staying busy. IVF, infertility treatment, really takes over your life. You live your life in 2-week intervals, right? And even right now, I just had my ERA, and they're like, okay, we'll follow up in 2 weeks. After you do your embryo transfer, okay, we'll test in 2 weeks. After you do surgery, okay, your post-op will be in 2 weeks. So you're living on this 2-week interval and starting and stopping so much. But I've learned, and my therapist helped me, to get to a place where when we do conceive and when we do bring our child into this world, I want my child to know that it was a struggle, but I lived through it. And when I say I lived, that I maybe even thrived. I found joy. I found peace. I found other things that I wanted to do, activities. So I love planning parties and being an event person and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm putting my energy into. Finding something that's not super stressful, but that I enjoy, because that kind of sometimes really makes me forget about, well, that's a lie. I don't forget. I remember every day, but like I said, I'm in a place where I'm doing something that brings me joy. And so planning parties, doing events, all that kind of stuff is great. So I found different hobbies throughout this process, so that I am not just tunnel vision and only seeing IVF, infertility, all that kind of stuff. Another thing is for me taking breaks from social media, especially when I start to see all those, hey, we're pregnant and all that kind of stuff. Time for me to log off, okay? And I do that, again, to protect my peace. All of it is protecting my peace, my energy, and my heart, okay? And taking those breaks, that's good to do regardless. Even if you're thriving and all that kind of stuff, taking a step back from social media, because the algorithm speaks to what you're looking at, right? So I'm talking about infertility. I'm following people in the TTC community. And so then you start seeing more and more of that. And we are all in different phases of joy or grief, or just starting out, or we've been in the game for years. And when I'm seeing the pregnancy, positive pregnancies, I'm actually very happy for them, because I know what they went to get through it. And this does not take away from any woman who's gotten pregnant naturally with just thinking about it, or the woman who really struggled but just didn't share her story. This is pregnancy and life is beautiful, and there's no hierarchy with this thing. But for me, when I start to see all of that, I just have to take a break. And then I come back and I feel refreshed and I can keep it going. So yeah, that's kind of what it's like dealing with pregnancy jealousy. And I want to be wholly transparent in this thing, because someone asked me on TikTok, how do you stay so positive? And for me, having a positive posture is helpful, but I'm not naive. And also, I allow myself to feel all the feelings. So when I'm happy, when I'm hopeful, when I'm at peace, when I'm grateful, because we're grateful to be able to do this. Or like I said, when I'm angry, when I'm sad, when I'm jealous, I can accommodate all of those, because one, I have tools, but also I take it to God. Ultimately, He's the one that's going to bless us with children. And having that faith and that connection to God allows me to continue to go on, because he can handle all the big emotions surrounding whatever your situation is. Ours right now is infertility and Alzheimer's, dealing with a loved one with Alzheimer's. But he can handle that, and he has carried me and held me and done all the wonderful things that he promises along this journey. So if you find yourself dealing with pregnancy, jealousy, going through IVF, infertility, journey, whatever your journey looks like, it's normal. It's okay. You're not a bad person. Try to find ways to protect your peace, protect your heart. I keep saying I need to go to one of those rage rooms and just like break a bunch of stuff. I think that would be great. You know, let out all that anger and that sadness and all that kind of stuff. Because we have to have a good posture of hope at the end of the day. I'm a big believer that my mental, emotional, spiritual self, along with my physical, of course, matters in this journey. And so I use all the tools in my toolbox. Sometimes I'm using all of them every day. Sometimes I pick and choose. My last one is really trying to get into mindfulness. I've shared before, finger tracing, deep breaths, massages. I go and get massage. I found one masseuse. Everybody else either want to talk or they want to tell me I just want to shh, don't say that. But yeah, that's how it is. And so I hope that someone finds this helpful. And if you have any suggestions on dealing with pregnancy, jealousy, or anything like that, please let me know in the comments. All right, you guys have a great, blessed day.